Okay, we're here for the Five Star Network with a man who has a huge match coming up this Saturday at the Rev Pro 11th anniversary show at the Quarter Box Arena, facing Kosei Fujita. We got JJ Gale with us. How you doing, man?
Yeah, doing good, thanks, man. Just
Good.
looking forward to Saturday now. We're almost there. It's been a long wait, but just a few days away now, so looking forward to it, bro.
Yeah. Is it fair to say with, the scale of the show, the crowd, the opponent, what's on the end of it with a win, that this is the biggest match of your career?
Oh, hands down, easily. Yeah, for all those reasons you've just said. I've been doing this a few years now. I started at the very bottom. I've worked my way up to this point. So it's definitely one of those moments that we got on this to do, you know? You
Yeah.
know, 4, 5, 6,000, however many people are going to be jam packed inside the Copper Box Arena. It's going to be loud. It's going to be
Yeah.
wild. Um, I can't wait to feel that atmosphere. It's going to be off the scale. So I look forward to it. And like you say, there's a lot on the line as well. So I'll
Yeah,
be
there's a,
bringing it. Don't you
there's
worry.
a certain man you've had your eyes on for a little bit, and he said with a win in this one that that's going to be next. So yeah, and as someone who's been at these Rev Pro shows, seen the run you've been on, this is one of the matches of the night for me. This is the ones I'm looking forward to the most.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
We'll talk about that in a second, but obviously we're talking on Tuesday. You just had Portsmouth at the weekend. Josh
Mm.
James, how'd that one go?
Yeah, man. I can't lie. I mean, I'm surprised, but I was a little bit shocked at what Josh brought to the table. We've been training together for 3, 4 years now. He is a friend of mine. But I've been so laser focused on this stuff going on with Zach and building myself up to get that opportunity to fight him. That maybe I haven't been paying quite as much attention to the contenders division and what guys like Joshua James have been doing. Um, that being said, I wasn't underestimating him on Sunday. I knew it was going to be a fight, but I don't think he was going to hit quite so hard, or it was going to be quite so tough of a fight. I think if you watch that footage back on RevPro on demand, cheap plug Andy Quilden, then you'll see as soon as that match finishes, I kind of just collapsed on his body because I was physically exhausted. I was hurting. Um, not an ideal place to be 1 week out of the copper box, but the way I see it, the way I've always, my philosophy in wrestling has been take the hardest route because that's only going to build character, build you up, you know,
Yeah.
and make you a better performer, a better wrestler, a better person. So yeah, it surprised me. He hit hard, and it was a war, but I got through that just like I've got through my last few matches, and it just proves that I'm ready and raring to go, and I'm ready for Kosei Fujita.
Yeah, he's a big guy. He hits hard. Well, he's one guy who you really just even just as a fan, you've noticed the progression during his
Mm.
run in the contenders division.
Yeah,
And I'm going to touch on your run in the contenders division in a moment. But first, I obviously mentioned Portsmouth because you started with Rev Pro at the Portsmouth School of Wrestling.
that's
You'd
right.
done a bit before, you'd done some stuff with LDN before, but then what was that jump like going from being a guy on the scene to then going, right, I'm gonna go here because I want to get into the top company in the country. What was that jump like for you?
Yeah, well, you're right. I mean, I started out when I was 16, 17. I took my first bump when I was about 16
That's
years
quite a
old.
late start over here.
Yeah, I guess it is. I guess it is. But at that age, I'm just a teenager wanting to wrestle. It's
Yeah.
something I've always enjoyed watching, and it's someone I've been a fan of. Like a lot of us, we started out as fans, and we decided actually we think we've got what it takes to do something with this fandom. Um, so I started off training in Gloucester with Evolution Wrestling years ago. It was like a different lifetime. Got the basics down. Did a little run with them, a few different shows and stuff. You're right. I worked a little bit with other companies here and there, but the lower level of the zeitgeist of pro wrestling in Britain. All valuable experience, but it got to a point for sure for me where I thought, if I'm looking at the scene and I'm looking at where I want to go, somewhere like Rev Pro, in my opinion, the best company in Europe, that's where I want to be, and I want to be on the top of those shows. So, not an easy route, but a direct route that I saw there was, will make myself known at the Portsmouth School of Wrestling and just work my ass off until I get to the very top. And we're still on that journey now. Am I the heavyweight champion? No. Will I be? Yes, one day. But we're still on that journey now. So yeah, the switch was. I've said to a few people over the years, it was almost like a reset on my wrestling career. I had a couple of years of, you know, wrestling before that. at one level in one sort of area of British wrestling. But that for me was almost like a reset button for me for wrestling. Reset what I was doing, who I was. And it was a real learning experience throughout my whole time there. And then getting through to the contenders division, which we'll touch on. And it's just been a constant path of growth.
Yeah, and I saw in another interview you said you were studying in Southampton at the time, so it makes sense, right?
Yeah, I think I might have said on that interview, like I was studying Southampton because studying's what you're meant to do, right? But there's a good portion of that choice was down to the fact that I knew the Portsmouth School of Wrestling was just up the motorway, and I'd be able to train there. So, that played a big part.
Yeah. Obviously, you talk about that growth, but the last few months especially, it's just been a hell of a run for you. Both in Rev Pro and away from Rev Pro, you've done some things in Europe, I know as well. How would you sum up these last few months, say, since the start of the year?
Yeah, so much fun. This has been the sort of run that I've wanted to be on. And am I satisfied with it? No. Am I happy? Yeah, I'm enjoying it, but I want more, obviously. But yeah, I came into this year with a very direct mindset that I would say it in promos. I would write it on social media. 2023 was my year. Everyone says that they go into a new year. Right? This is going to be my year, but I really meant it this time. I've thrown everything at this year. It's been my sole focus above anything else, as it has to be if you want to get anywhere. So I've really reaped the rewards, like you say. I feel like I've found myself as a wrestler a lot more. I'm more sure of myself in the ring, how I present myself, how I fight, how I work. So I just feel like I'm reaping the rewards of years and months and days of work and graft and trial and error. And it's been great. Getting some of these big marquee matches for Rev Pro, getting onto York Hall, working this program with Zack Sabre Jr., the Copper Box Arena. I mean, if you told me at the start of January, I'd have told you this was my year. But if you told me I was working at the Copper Box Arena, I wouldn't have believed you because that was not even on my vision. York Hall that was the main goal. I need to get on York Hall. At York Hall, I still want a singles match at York Hall, and hey, there's still months in this year to get that done. Yeah. But yeah, the Copper Box was not even on my radar. So yeah, it's been sweet. And like you say, outside of Rev Pro as well, lots of other places in the UK. Been out to Spain, Italy, and it's been a really fun year. So I'm enjoying it. I'm riding the wave, and it's only up from here.
Yeah. Big part of it is kind of running with the opportunities that you're given, I suppose. You did before this stuff with Zack Sabre Jr. You did a couple matches with Yota Tsuji, which have aged really well, seeing the stuff he's been doing in New Japan, right? Yeah. But obviously you eliminated Zack Sabre Jr. in the Rumble to get to this point as well. Maybe it's a similar question or similar answer to having that reset in the school. But did anything change about the way you approach wrestling coming into this year? Or was it just a case of knowing in your mind that when you get the opportunities that you'll be able to take them?
Yeah, I think there was a little bit of a switch in my mindset. Kind of a I'm tired of waiting kind of mindset. I'm not gonna necessarily wait for the opportunities to be given to me. I'm gonna give people no choice but to give me the opportunities, if that makes sense. That's been the mindset going into this year for sure. I think coming into this year, I was confident in my abilities. I believe I belong at the top in British wrestling. So now I'm going to demand it, and I'm going to go out every night, and every time I'm out there, I'm going to show promoters, fans, anyone who's watching, the boys in the back, that I deserve to be at the top. I think that's been the biggest switch this year. And growing in confidence each match. Given those opportunities, smashing it out of the park, and just like I say, just continuing that path to the very top.
Yeah, we've buried the lead a bit. Let's talk about Saturday, because you do have two matches this weekend. We'll talk about the other one as well. Big one, Rev Pro 11th anniversary at the Copper Box, like you said. I think we're looking at over 3,000 tickets sold. It's probably more than that now. Taking on Fujita. Firstly, are you a big watcher of New Japan? How familiar are you with Fujita coming into this? Because he's not someone that's been around too long. I think he only made his debut 2 years ago, almost to the day.
Cool. Yeah. No, obviously I watch New Japan. I try and keep an eye on everything that's going on in wrestling, because who knows where our journeys are going to take us. I want to be aware of everyone and everything that's going on in the world of wrestling. And Fujita, especially since this match has been announced, I've been studying him. I've been picking apart his work, trying to find weaknesses, trying to find my way in, trying to find out how things are gonna go when we get in the ring together. I think he's a guy that shows a lot of promise, a lot of talent. I genuinely believe in, a few years' time, you'll be looking at him as one of the top guys in Japan and in the world. I think he shows a lot of charisma and solid in the ring. So yeah, I'm fully aware of what Fujita brings to the table, and I'm fully aware on how to counteract any of his strengths or how to expose any of his weaknesses, because nothing's stopping me from getting to Zack Sabre Jr. one-on-one.
Yeah. Is it like you mentioned obviously watching Fujita? Is it particular matches you've watched, or is it just a whole lot of everything? Because I heard an interview with Michael Oku, I think last week, when he talked about for every match he has, he will watch a couple of matches of the guy just to like think of things to get the mind going heading into that match. Is that something you always try to do as well?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think it's stupid if you don't do that. If the more you're aware of what that person does, how they work with different people and, stuff, then like you say, the more ideas that are going to be generated and the more prepared you're going to be. So yeah, it's been, whether it's tags, whether it's young boy matches, I've been studying it all.
Yeah. And obviously the end goal here with a win of Fujita, it doesn't end there. We talked about it. Zack Sabre Jr. You mentioned that your core singles match as well. Something like that, Zack Sabre Jr., your call. How big of an opportunity do you think that could potentially be at this point in your career?
Oh, it's massive, isn't it? A guy like Zack Sabre, the wrestling world's eyes are on a guy like that, with good reason. So to be put in that spot next to him, it's sink or swim. And I think I've shown this year that I'm not ready to sink, and I'm going to swim, and I'm going to make people remember the name JJ Gale walking out of that match, just like they're going to remember the name JJ Gale walking out of the copper box this Saturday. Huge opportunity, whether that's at York Hall, whether that's at the 229, whether that's Southampton, my hometown. I don't care. As long as I get Zack Sabre Jr. one-on-one, then I'm going to make sure it's a match that people are talking about for a while to come.
Yeah. We already talked about the jump going to the Portsmouth School of Wrestling. You debuted with Rev Pro in 2019 as a contender. Then the pandemic hits a few months later, and you obviously did some empty arena shows, but your contenders run was pretty much accelerated because of that. Because by the time crowds came back, you were doing your stuff with Newman, and it really, do you feel that limited your time as a contender? And as something like that is crucial for development, how were you able to develop your character, everything around you without the crowd? Obviously, is that's such a huge part of the industry.
Yeah, you're right. It was a weird time for sure. You look at, we talked about someone like Josh James and the current crop of contenders. I mean, Josh James has been a contender since probably a couple of years now, I think. And I think he's on the brink of getting out of that division, especially after performances like on Sunday. And when you look back at mine, I debuted against Hikuleo in the cockpit in June, July. I think July cockpit in
Around the
2019.
middle of 2019, yeah.
Sure, yeah, at some point in the summer. August, September, October, November. We're talking 7-8 months later, and we're hitting a pandemic. So just as I was starting to find my stride as a contender, and just as I started breaking off from just working the other contenders to get matches with some of the main roster guys, it hits the pandemic. And after a great weekend, I wrestled Hikuleo in Sheffield, and then I beat two other contenders, Kenneth Penny and Sean Jackson, in a triple threat in St. Neots. And I was riding high. I was excited. World stops. It shuts down. I can't train. I can't go to the gym. Can't wrestle shows. So yeah, really weird time. You just got to adapt to it though. We're all in it. Is it ideal? No. But in a lot of ways, like I say, it's almost a blessing in a weird way for me, that weird time, because in any other situation, I mean, we don't know because we didn't live that reality, but would I have wrestled Will Ospreay? Who knows?
Right?
But who's to say? But the opportunity came in one of those empty arena shows, and I stepped in there with, at the time, the British Heavyweight Champion, the best in the world, Will Ospreay. Completely different man back then, and I'd love to run that back these days and see what happens. But yeah, great opportunity to learn there. Mark Haskins, Robbie X. Me and Callum debuted our team in the empty arenas tapings. I'm not sure if the match even ever saw the light of day, to be honest. But we did tape a match there as a team. So like, in a weird way, although I didn't get as much match experience in front of crowds, it did kind of accelerate my journey. And then by the time crowds were back, I was coming out in my own gear and sort of really starting to show what I'm all about.
Yeah. Bringing it back to today and looking forward to the rest of the year. What's on the docket? What are you hoping to get from these last 4 months of the year? And, what are you hoping to add on to such a successful year so far?
And anything and everything, really. I don't want to set a limit on anything. I'm looking to beat Fujita this Saturday. I'm looking to fight Zack Sabre 1-on-1 before the year's up, whenever that would be. I got my eyes on that Cruiserweight Championship in Rev Pro for sure. Me and Mills have tied up a few times.
Yeah.
I'm yet to get that win over him. But obviously a guy like me in the Cruiserweight division, I got my eyes on that. So if I'm totally honest, that's where it's at. But apart from that, just keep branching out, keep being everywhere. Keep smashing any opportunities I get given, and make sure I'm the name on everyone's lips when they're talking about the best in British wrestling. That's the goal.
Yeah. So finally, man, there's a lot of matches going on this week and a lot of attention on the Rev Pro show. Give us the hard sell. Why should people go into this show looking forward to your match, especially?
I mean, they should go to the show, whatever match they're looking forward to. If they're a fan of British wrestling, if they're a fan of independent wrestling, if they're a fan of professional wrestling, this is a huge night for all of that. The world's eyes are on British wrestling for this weekend. AEW are in town, Wembley, it's huge. But come and support what we're doing, because a lot of guys like yourself, they know the good stuff that's going on down in Britain in places like Rev Pro and wherever else, and we're finally on a big stage, so it's a chance to kind of show the world what we can do. So people should come down and see what we're all about, and then they're going to see what they've been missing out on, and hopefully stick with us. In particular, my match, I think for a lot of people, it's going to be the first time they see me. There's that loyal Rev Pro fan base and fans of the British wrestling scene that know who I am, but I'm sure there's a lot of that 3,000-4,000 tickets and others that are going to buy tickets in the meantime that haven't heard of JJ Gale. So it's a chance for them to see what I'm all about. I promise them they won't be disappointed. And I'm going to show up. I'm going to show out. It's going to be one hell of a match. There's a lot of big matches going on, but you can guarantee walking out of that show, a name on your mouth will be JJ Gale.
And that's really the goal of independent wrestling, isn't it? Obviously, you've got your guys like Will Ospreay, Shingo, Takagi in the main event. You obviously get those guys in. They're the guys that casual fans are going to come for. But then you've got underneath that, you've got yourself, you've got Connor Mills, you've got Luke Jacobs, you've got Ricky Knight Jr. These are the guys that when Will Ospreay's not here, when Shingo Takagi's not here, these are the guys that people need to be coming for.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're here week in, week out, holding down the scene, and we're the future of the next months, years, however, until inevitably all those guys you mentioned go on to bigger and better things, because that's what we're all destined for. So yeah, I think people won't be disappointed. Cop your tickets, come to the Copper Box, and enjoy some good pro wrestling.
And if you can't get there, it's going to be live on Rev Pro On Demand, of course. There's the second plug for Andy. So
there it is.
Yeah. So there's no excuse not to watch. Also, it's a busy weekend. Sunday, Coliseum, four-way, Truman Roswell, Scotty Rock, LJ Cleary. That sounds like a really fun one as well. Any words for those guys?
Yeah, man, I'm really looking forward to that one. That's three guys that I've never worked with before. So I'm really looking forward to that. That's just going to be all action, isn't it? There's not much of a sell that needs to be done on that. I'm going to be coming off the biggest match of my career. So if you think I'm slowing down, I have another thing coming. I'm going to be riding that high. I'm going to take it right through to Sunday. Debut in Coliseum Pro Wrestling. First time wrestling these guys. I'm coming for the win. And if you can make sure you're there as well, because that's the true pre-show to AEW All In, guys.
Yeah, I think that's 11 o'clock, noon, down in Norwood Junction.
I believe doors are at 12. Show starts at 1.
Perfect.
Don't quote me on it, but I think that's what we're talking for.
Perfect.
So there's time to check it out and get over to Wembley afterwards. So.
Yeah. Are you heading over to Wembley or not?
I'll be there, man. I'm in London, and we've got to cap off the weekend in the right way.
Of course, man.
I'll be in Wembley, don't you worry.
Yeah. Thanks for taking the time to speak ahead of such a big weekend. Feel free to give any shout outs where people can see you coming up, where people can follow you on social media, and where people can pick up that t-shirt that you're wearing.
Always plugging. Cool. Yeah, absolutely. It's at JJ Gale _PW. across most social medias: YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all that good stuff. We've got the online merch store is going to be linked to all of those, where you can maybe cop one of these. It's actually the last few. I think there's only 2 or 3 left.
Yeah.
So if you do want one, that was the last chance to get it. But yeah, new
Need a
designs will
new
be
one
coming.
soon then, yeah? Need a new one soon.
Yeah, 100%. New designs coming towards the end of the year. But yeah, that's the way to keep up on shows, merch, and all that good stuff. So yeah, please give us a follow, and I promise big things are coming.
Perfect. Well, thank you for taking the time today. Best of luck with the matches this weekend and going forward. It's always fun to watch.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that.